Proverbs chapter 21, we made it as far as verse 2, so we're going to start in verse 3. It says, "To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice." You guys all know this, right? You wanted your kids to be obedient, not to come in and go, sorry. You know, it's interesting about that. You know, for you to be obedient, it's better than the Old Testament sacrifice. It's better than a slaughtered lamb. It's better than that. God is not after your confession and your repentance after you sinned. He doesn't want you to sin. It seems stupidly simple, obvious, but he much more desires you to change what you're doing, to stop what you're doing, to let His word and His love and what He's done for you affect you in that way. You know, when your kid is willfully disobedient, they go out to the party like you told them not to. They come home late like you told them not to. And then you get up in the morning and they bring you out a flower. "This is for you, Mom. Sorry." Does that flower wash everything away? You know, that's not what you're after. You know, King Saul, you remember King Saul, he was given a command by God to go and wipe out the Amalekites. Now, the Amalekites had tried to wipe them out on the way into the country. God says, "Go wipe them out. I don't want anything left. Wipe out animals, children, wipe them all out." Seems really harsh. And when Saul returns from that slaughter, Samuel comes to visit him, the prophet Samuel. And the prophet walks in, he looks at the king and he goes, What's that sound in my ears? What's that bleating of sheep? What's this noise I'm hearing?" "Oh, the people. Well, the people wanted to keep the animals and bring back here for a sacrifice to you. And, you know, I kept the king alive as a sacrifice to God also." And Samuel's words are great. He says, "Has the Lord as great a delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry." How many of us rebel? How many of us are stubborn, you know? And you read those words and it's like, that's worse than witchcraft, you know? That's crazy stuff. If you want to bless God's heart, obey. There it is, right? Black and white, super simple. Verse 4, "A haughty look, a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked are sin." A haughty look, that outward pride. You can see it in some people. A proud heart, the inward pride. So now you got pride on the outside, pride on the inside. And the plowing, the prosperity of the wicked, all of this stuff is sin. All of this stuff is evil. "The plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty." This proverb is the superiority of diligence, of hard work, of planning. You know, slow and steady is the way to prosperity. It's the way to progress. But the hasty, you know, those get-rich-quick schemes, you go out and you buy that lotto, you know, the quick pick. You want that $200 million, you know. You want that Publishers Clearinghouse $1,000 a day for the rest of your life. You watch those commercials too? It's like, well, that'd come in handy. I could almost pay my bills with that. Pretty near, you know. That kind of thing leads to poverty. You don't think it does, but it does. You know, you just get online and research lottery winners. Get online and you watch these ruined lives. It's like, how? They got $200 million. How'd they blow it? I don't know, but they did. Verse 6, "Getting treasure by a lying tongue is the fleeting fancy of those who seek death. Those who want to get rich by lying, by cheating, It's mostly fantasy. We see it on TV programs, We watch it on the internet. We watch certain people. But really, it's the way to a quick death. There's stress. There's all kinds of things. My best man at my wedding, I've told you this before. I get married to Brenda when I'm 21 years old, 22 years old. And I marry her, my best man at that wedding. 3 years later, dies in Denver, Colorado, because he kidnapped a rich mogul's son and held him for ransom. And, the FBI caught up with him before, anything else happened. And you're thinking, man, that was a get-rich-die-quick scheme, wasn't it? And it was, here's this young kid, he's not even 30. All because he had to have it right now. All because he wanted it, some kind of cheater's way. The violence of the wicked will destroy them because they refuse to do justice. They refuse to do what's right. The fact is, we do reap what we sow. Have you noticed that? For years, I was sowing and planting in the wrong field. And I had to learn, I had to grow, and I had to understand, stop planting there and start planting over here. And some of that harvest still came up. And I still had to endure that harvest. But I changed fields, and now other stuff is coming up, and I'm much more enjoying that field, The violent, the wicked they do, it circles around on them. It circles back, It's not karma. It's God's law. You will reap what you sow, It's not even good karma that we have in our congregation. It's not her. Apparently not. But those who refuse to do rightly or righteously, it will catch up to you. Justice is coming, Is that by the law? One day there's the knock at the door, And you open the door and the sheriff's standing there. Hey, Mark, we've got some handcuffs for you. New jewelry, new place to wear them, But more often, it's by another wicked person. It's by somebody even worse than they are. You go make the score. You get the deal. You got the stuff, and then worse, badder people. Badder people. That's good, right? They come in and take it from you, kill you, wipe you out. Verse 8. The way of a guilty man is perverse, but as for the true, his work is right. The contrast between a guilty man and a pure man. I like that, The guilty man has to live a secret life. You got that dual nature going on. Well, around these people I can be me, but around these people I got to kind of guard who I am and what I say and how it comes out. And they have to appear outwardly one way and live inwardly another way. And anytime there's that, a house divided cannot stand, That's a lot of work. I don't know if you've tried to live two separate lives, but man, it's hard to keep on top of that. But the pure person, the person who's righteous, the person who just is who he is around God and around other people, he has this freedom. There's nothing to hide. That's where we get the idea of integrity. Just being one. I love the idea of integrity. Oh, I am not perfect. I'm a mess. But you guys all know I'm a mess. So see, I'm okay with that. It says in 1 John 1:7, it says, "But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus Christ his Son cleanses us from all sin." That is such an uncomplicated life. There's a goal, there's a standard, I'm working towards that standard, I'm probably never going to hit it, but I'm going that way. I just have to be me. But I have to be me for you believers. You want to be you, but you want to be you in the Spirit. You want to be you in Christ Jesus. Not just you who you used to be. No. Because that would be living a lie also, right? But now that you're born again, now that the Spirit of Christ dwells in you, now you just want to be you with him, in him, completed as it were. Better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious woman. We can just move on, right? Nobody needs to understand this. A contentious woman, it's literally a brawling woman. You know any of those? They just want to fight. They always got something to go on, you know. The last time we got to a verse like this, it was that honey. It wasn't the honey dripping woman. It was the dripping faucet woman. You know, it's like have drip, 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 and she's just constantly going on about something. And there seems to be this buildup through the book of Proverbs. And if anybody knew anything about wives, it was probably Solomon. He had a couple, you know. So before it was the nag, and, you know, the nagging hasn't worked. So now she's become physical. She's become contentious. And the man, he's moved to the top of the rooftop. Now in Israel, in the old country, they had flat roofs with little porticos around them, and you know, that's where you'd go to get out of the sun, but to get a little breeze, and you know, they had little porticos over them and stuff. And this guy isn't even content just up on the roof. He's building a little shelter over in the corner. Just get me anywhere away, you know? He's moved out. It's so much nicer out here, up here, you know? This is the picture of a rebellious and unsubmissive wife. Now, wives are not supposed to be doormats, you know, no, you're not just supposed to walk over them, but there is a submission that's supposed to be going on. And it's a wife that loves to fight and loves to argue and loves to bring things up and loves to pull those strings. And you wives, you know exactly which strings get which tune, right? You know it. I mean, you had that memorized 10 days in. And that kind of a woman in the house makes life miserable for everybody in the house, but especially for the husband. It's better to live a life exposed to Mother Nature. And you guys know Mother Nature, right? There are times she can be one mean mother. She can be hot. She can be windy. She can bring in tornadoes. It's better to live exposed to that stuff than that woman, you know? Than a wife unwilling to submit, unwilling to take her proper place. The outside storms are easier to endure than she is. How valuable is peace in your home? I got to tell you, there is nothing better than going to my house, walking in the door, walking over and sitting in my big comfy chair and just having peace. There is nothing better than that. Not for a man, you know. I pray that you enjoy that in the house. And if not, call me. I'm a bit of a builder. We could be building on the roof. I don't know. Verse 10. The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. The first part is someone that's always plotting evil. Some people sin because they haven't been saved yet. You know some people like that. Others sin and sin ruthlessly and continuously. There's these two words for evil in the Bible. One is kakos, and it means just evil. Maybe you have a neighbor that's just hard to get along with, just, whatever it is. They're there's bad there, but at least they don't have to share it with you. But then there's pernius. And pernius is an evil that is not happy being alone. It must infect you. It's a pernicious lie. It infects you. It's a pernicious person. They want to include you in their evil, The second kind of a person will always seek to take advantage of you. You being a nice guy, you being, whatever it is you are, even their neighbor, because neighbors mean nothing to them. When the scoffer is punished, the simple is made wise. But when the wise is instructed, he receives instruction. When you punish a scoffer, even if the scoffer doesn't understand what you're doing, others are watching. Others take note of that. There's a deterrent effect happening. Now, I raised 4 boys. And my first boy was a trial, bit of a trial. He tested everything, tried everything. And so, he got some stuff, I would take his car away and give him a 10-speed, There you go. How am I going to get to work? You got tennis shoes on? Go. That's how you're going to get to work. Will I get home late? Yeah, so do I. Get on, And my other boys were watching. And I even had one boy who goes, we'd get to a certain place and I go, you want to be like the older boy? And he'd go, no, I don't want to be like the older boy. I watched all that, don't want that. Smart kid, right? Smart kid. Brothers, they can learn a lot by example, right? Oh, I hear all of those older kids. I can't believe you let the youngest one get away with murder. That wasn't that way when I grew up. It was hard. Yeah, that's because you were the example. We actually love these other ones. We just had to punish, we just had, that's the way it is sometimes, right? You can learn a lot by watching other people. God says it over and over in Proverbs. He says, if you just watch people, you don't have to go to the school of hard knocks. Now, I didn't learn that lesson until way too late. I didn't get saved until I was, 33 years old. I had made a lot of years in the school of hard knocks by then. And, I was a good student. I was right up front. I wanted to be the guy who tried everything. Oh, well, here, hold my beer. Let me try that. See what happens, And I was the idiot that was constantly doing the school of hard knocks thing. I had no idea you could watch somebody else do it and go, oh, that didn't turn out good. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I know several people that are proud that they are graduates of the school of hard knocks. Well, I learned this by, life on the streets. I learned this by whatever. That school is overrated. I don't suggest getting a graduate degree from that place. The tuition is very expensive. It'll cost you years of life. It'll cost you, lots of stuff. It's much better just to get the TV attitude. Sit down and watch somebody. I was thinking about doing that. I'm going to watch this guy's life for the next 5 or 10 or 15 years. I'm going to see how this turns out. That's an amazing way to learn. Because then you watch and you go, ooh, that didn't turn out too good. Usually within 6-8 months, you can see that's not going good. Learn from the Proverbs. Proverbs are, hey, this happens, This is almost always is the reaction to that. Maybe you should pay attention to that and learn your lesson and never have to walk down that course. So be wise. Look around. Watch. Question. Learn through wisdom. So it's a much easier way. The righteous God wisely considers the house of the wicked, overthrowing the wicked for their wickedness. What's the story of this? God is watching, right? The Lord is watching. When? All the time. Well, I put the lights out. I got alone. You weren't alone, Why are bars so dark? Why are all those night places always so dark and loud? Well, maybe nobody will hear me there, right? I was talking this week to somebody, and they said, well, at least I'm not judged on my thoughts. And I'm like, ding, ding, ding. Every thought and every intent of the heart, God knows. Wait a minute, they said. Wait, how am I ever going to be good? You're not. There's the trick, right? It's beyond you. The Lord is watching. What they do is not hidden, and it is not secret. Can you imagine what the Lord sees just in a normal day? What he observes. Just on a daily basis. Hollywood, for example. Imagine what he's observing. Washington, D.C. We don't have to go that far. In you, in your home, in your heart, in your life, the evil, the perverse, the ugly things. And those things happen out in the open for him. Everything is naked and bare to him to whom we must give an account. Everything is right out there. Remember, at the end of this, nobody is getting away with anything. Well, maybe God will forget. Maybe God doesn't keep good records. Right? If we have the ability to create a DVD and it shows, 2 hours of something, you don't think God has the ability to rewind tape and play February 1st? There it is. Oh, how much better it is then to be a Christian filled with the Spirit in a right relationship with God and with your fellow man. In that place, you can have peace. You can have peace with you guys, and you can have peace with him, and you can walk knowing that you're at peace. Oh, some people don't want to like you. Some people refuse to like you. I don't care. I've done everything in my power to patch everything up, and I walk on. It's that guy's problem. It's not my problem. But that becomes so familiar to us as Christians. It becomes so familiar that we often forget it. We lose sight of it. We forget how valuable it is just to be saved. Just simple salvation. Having given your life to Christ, you are now justified, just as if you'd never sinned. You are now being sanctified. Oh, that's this turmoil that's going on inside of you. I want to do this, but I want to do that, and I got this battle going. And you are now glorified. That is worth everything. I wouldn't trade that for the world. Oh, you got to try this. Why? Here. Oh, you don't know what you're missing. Thank goodness for that. Verse 13, whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also cry himself and not be heard. if we ignore the needs of the poor, the needs of others, we should never be surprised that our needs aren't being met. What goes around comes around. What you reap is what you sow. It seems like there's kind of a thing going on here. You remember Luke chapter 16, the rich man and Lazarus? The rich man had it all. He fared sumptuously every day. And Lazarus, he was this guy with some kind of disease. They laid him out at the gate. He was just hoping for the crumbs off the table. The one guy had everything in life. And the other guy seemingly had nothing in life, but just that far away from the guy who had everything. And one guy, they both die in one day, and it says one guy is tormented where he goes. Tormented. He was used to having everything. He has nothing here but pain and suffering and agony. And one guy is comforted and loved and supplied for eternity. The importance, their position was reversed in eternity. You had it all, now you have nothing. He had nothing, now he has it all. The importance of living by the golden rule, and I don't mean the world's golden rule, he who has the gold makes the rules. But it's the other one, do unto others what you would have them do unto you. And notice how it's positive. You be doing for someone else what you want others to be doing for you. Be careful not to shut your ears to the needy, to the cries of the poor. Those roles may reverse one day. You're sitting here, you're doing okay. Next month, the world could change. We could be the poor and the needy. Who's going to listen to you then? Who's going to cry out then? Verse 14, a gift in secret pacifies anger, and a bribe behind the back, strong wrath. The power of a gift. You husbands, have you ever done anything, what's the word I should use? Stupid. You come home and go, oops, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Probably shouldn't have bought that. Probably shouldn't have went there, You know how effective flowers can be? Or a card saying, I know I'm a blockhead, but I still love you, babe, kind of a thing. You know how that, pries open a door a little bit? There's a little bit of air coming through there again. The apology, the date. Sweetie, I know, let's go out, That pacifies greatly, right? There's some balm, to that kind of stuff. It heals wounds. The bribe, it's the same word as gift, by the way, here. Not necessarily in a negative fashion in this verse. Gifts have the power to heal even strong wrath. You get to those places and I'll have husbands and wives come to me and it's like, it's over, what do I do? One of them says, what do I do? I really blew it. Well, you got to start bringing gifts. You got to start making, bringing the action, bringing the intent, bringing the stuff to the table. Because, it has power with it. Because you're actually showing not just words of love, but actions of love, doing of love. Verse 15. It is a joy for the just to do justice, but destruction will come to the workers of iniquity. Doing good is its own reward. Have you ever done that? At the first church I ever joined, I got saved on a hill, I come down, started attending this church, and one of the families was redoing their basement, so you had to go in and tear it all apart and then rebuild walls and put up drywall and wiring and, the whole 9 yards. I was like, oh boy, here we go, And yet you go there and you spend 8, 10, 12 hours and you're laughing when you go home. You're feeling good. Why is that? Why is it you feel good when you do good? Why is that? Oh, here's the ringy-ding-ding. It's because that's what you were made to do. That's the way you were designed. When you help others, you're raising your level with them. You know, you get those people and they're always depressed. They're always selfish. They're always in this funk where it's like, I just don't know what to do. I'm so depressed. I'm so down. And my old pastor buddy in Idaho Falls, he would always say, well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to look around. I want you to find somebody that's in need, somebody that really needs help, and go help that person. And then do it the next day, and do it the next day, and do it for a week. And at the end of the week, you know what you're going to feel? Not depressed. Because it hasn't been all about you, right? You got your mind off of you, and you got your mind on somebody else, and you're full of joy. How'd that happen? So you step out and you mow your neighbor's yard. Oh, I don't want to mow my neighbor. It's 98 degrees out there. You crazy? Mowing my neighbor's yard. Yeah, but it's going to feel good. It's going to pay dividends. You paint, you clean, you come home tired. Why do you feel good? It's right here. And what's interesting is, what this verse says is, it says, the wicked will never feel that feeling. The wicked will never experience the joy of actually helping somebody else because that isn't their heart. Their heart's to rip them off. Their heart's to get something for them. And the more you're involved in this instead of those, the harder you become. Verse 16, a man who wanders from the way of understanding will rest in the assembly of the dead. The idea of this verse seems to be that walking away from God and his directives can lead you to physical death. This happens every day. You decide, well, I've kind of had enough of this Christianity thing for a while. I'm just going to go tie one on at the bar tonight. And then you drive home and you miss that corner. And what happens? Oh yeah, it led somewhere you weren't expecting that to lead. You know, we have a member of this church who's in Boise, in the big house. All because he decided to go fishing one day. Him and his uncle are fishing. His uncle brought a bottle. It's no problem. I can drink. So he drinks. And by the time they come home, all that's in the bottle is just 2 ounces in the bottom of the bottle. He misses a corner and kills his uncle. Just a stupid, momentary decision. Boom, big consequences. You decide to sleep around. My wife won't mind, it's just one night. Ask her, I think she'll mind, but you contract AIDS, syphilis, any of those others. Physical death is on its way, You decide to try whatever. Think carefully about that. Because there are consequences. Oh yeah, you're saved. And that's great, that's amazing. But if you like this life, you should think about what you're doing. Verse 17, he who loves pleasure will be a poor man. That must be me. I don't know what that is. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich. The addiction to pleasure and to luxurious things, that will lead you to poverty. Just look around. Just look around. You see, the manager at McDonald's driving a 2018 Ford pickup. Got, 24s under it. It's got all the sparkly things, got the big exhaust. It blows black smoke out the back. How's a manager of McDonald's got that when me, after 60 years, don't got that? What's going on? How's that work, It's going to lead to poverty. Your addiction to nice things isn't necessarily a right addiction, right? There's nothing wrong with having nice things. Don't ever get me wrong about that. If the Lord has blessed you and you got that new Camaro, enjoy it. Be blessed. You got that place up in Island Park, enjoy it. But this is speaking of those who are undisciplined, addicted to these things. And they will spend all of their time and all of their money trying to obtain these things, the things that the culture says are of great value, and they will wind up poor. Not a good way to go. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the unfaithful for the upright. This is, the way I look at this is speaking of the final judgment. Ultimately, the righteous and the upright will prevail. The meek shall inherit the earth. That's a promise, One day the tables of this world are going to be overturned. Those who think they're ruling and reigning and they're doing it all unjustly and all putting people down just to step on top of them and get wherever they're going. Hey, a judge is going to show up. The judge, you guys know him, right? Jesus. And he's going to put all of that stuff down and he's going to lift you up. I look forward to that. Better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. Oh no, here we go. The wilderness in Israel and in the Middle East is desert. It's not like our wilderness. You're out there with the trees and the rain and the forests and, all of that. No. Get that idea of wilderness out of your mind. When we were there were sheep out grazing on this little mountainside. And all you could see was rocks. And I'm like, are they eating rocks? What are they eating? That's the wilderness there. There's nothing there. And the rocks, sometimes it's so hot the rocks turn black on the surface. You go flip them over, they're red on the bottom side, but on the top they're black. They've been burnt. Like you guys talking about hot summers, The Saudis would move to Jordan because it's 20 degrees cooler in Jordan than in Saudi Arabia. So they'd live with the 120 degree heat. They just didn't want the 140 degree heat where they're from. That's the same thing we do, right? We go to Island Park. It's 20 degrees cooler in Island Park. Yep. We all do that. Anyway. So this guy, he was in a house where there was drip, drip, drip. Nag, nag, nag. Then he moves up to the rooftop. Builds him a little shelter over in the corner of the rooftop. Honey, you can have the whole thing. I just want to be over here, But now he's out in the desert. Snakes, scorpions, weather. And he's happier out there than in his house, than with his family. Now, this plays out in our culture every day. God is trying in this proverb, or in these proverbs, to get the attention of an unsubmissive wife. Some are fighters. Some are battlers. Some are pickers, Some are clamorous. That is not a good thing to have in a marriage. Marriage is tough enough, right? I always look at God like, oh God, you really did this, didn't you? You took this sinner and you took this sinner and you joined them together and you said, now get in there and get along. Watch this. You know, this is going to be great. God knows how he made man. God knows how he made woman. And what they prize in life. Now, ladies, I'm going to give you a little secret here. The majority of men love peace in the house. They love it. They long for it. They desire peace. And yet I've talked to some women who are so surprised. Mark, I don't know what happened. He just left. Why would he leave? Well, sweetie, I think it has something to do with this. He's moved out to the middle of nowhere. He's just got himself a single wide trailer. It's not even hooked up to power. He's out there in the middle of nowhere. All the doors are open. He went back to a little TV. It's like this big. Weighs 400 pounds. You remember old TVs, yeah? Took him and his best friend to get it into the place. How could you leave all this for that? Many wives do not understand, the value of peace and quiet. Of course, it can be the other way around, can't it? You see, it's not just man and female and, the female's driving the man out. The man can drive the female out too. It happens. Because you don't understand what makes her tick. You don't understand what she needs, what she desires. Oh, it's both ways. Let's do one more. There is desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it. A wise man is disciplined and conservative with his resources. But the fool spends his paycheck as soon as he gets it. You know what that's like, right? Now, for years, I lived paycheck to paycheck, and really that's a lie. I'd get paid on Friday. It'd be direct deposited, and by noon on Friday, I was broke. Well, I sure enjoyed that couple of hours between, 9 o'clock in the morning when the bank opened till noon. I always thought God built it wrong. There's too much week for the money, Lord. Apparently the weekend should come Friday afternoon sometime and last until next Friday. But the ability to have a budget and to live on a budget is scriptural, is biblical. The ability to track what you spend, to know where you're going, to know what it costs, to think about all of those things, man, that's wise. If month after month after month you're running out of money, here's what God says: you're living beyond your means. It's that simple. Sell something. Cut something out. Stop doing something. What is it? Get a second job. I know that's unheard of. I remember, back when I was poor, dumb, and happy. It's been a while, right? I remember when I wanted something and it wasn't in the budget, I picked up a spare job. Oh, I can paint this guy's car. Oh, I could build that guy's fence. Oh, I could go help Joe with this. Get a little cash on the side. Boom. I could make ends meet. I could get what I wanted to do. The Bible says godliness with contentment is great gain. The trick to that is he who is content with the least is the happiest. Because you find out, man, you buy the camp trailer, and then you got batteries, tires, antifreeze, and checks and roofs and a whole nother house to clean. You got all of this stuff that comes along with it. You buy another car. Next thing you know, you got a fleet, of cars. Oil changes and, pretty soon all of this stuff starts to own you. You thought you owned it, but it really owns you. The guy just sitting out there with his 68 Toyota and that little one-room shack, and he's just sitting around fat, dumb, and happy. This is great. I got me a car. It gets from point A to point B. I got me a place to put up my big screen TV right there over my bed. Life is good. What's the difference between that guy and you? Desire. But I want this. Just understand that want comes with a price tag, right? Time, money, effort. Do you have champagne taste and a beer budget? I've heard the song. Now you've read the proverb. That's how it goes. Lord, as we, just consider these things in our hearts, in our minds. Lord, so many of these things just slapped me on the back of the head and said, dummy, fool, stop. Stop with your ungodly desires. Stop with your wants. Stop with what you think is a need. Come to me. Come to me and be satisfied. God, I want to pray for the wives, the mothers. God, that you would just let them know. There's that saying we have, happy wife, happy life. And there's something to that. But some are just unhappy, and they've got to share it. Lord, I pray for them, Lord, that you would comfort, that you would meet their need, and you would direct them. God, I pray for the husbands, Lord, that we would be compassionate and long-suffering, loving in spite of. Lord, I pray for the poor. I pray for our hearts, Lord, that we would be open to them, that we would see them wherever we go, in the supermarket, at the gas station, at the doctor's office, and Lord, that our heart would respond, that we would have what you often had, and that was compassion for others. God, there are so many things, Lord, in these Proverbs that we need and that we desire. But God, mostly we need you. Just to live a righteous and godly life and know that we stand before you, that we're in your hand, that you have us, you own us, and we are submitted to you. And Lord, asking you to lead and guide and provide for us. Lord, walk us out of here this week with a smile on our face and joy in our heart, knowing that you're in control, that you have us. And your desire is to bless and uphold and glorify yourself through us and in us. God, have your way today. In Jesus' name, amen.